What's up, guys? I am driving home here. Obviously hands-free, but heading home. I just bought a skid steer here. I bought a Bobcat 825. The guy I bought it from, my girlfriend knew him. She said he seemed like she said he was a decent guy, and I don't know. I met him. He seemed like a decent guy. Anyway, so the skid steer has drive issues. And it was priced accordingly. I got it for a reasonable deal, but it has drive issues. Sometimes the hydrostatic works in it, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's one side, sometimes it's the other. It's kind of growling, and the fluid, it's not milky, but it's got some air entrapment, it appears. So I'm thinking that we got something with a pickup, or we got something with a return that we're filling this fluid full of air, and then in addition to filling it full of air, then our pumps are cavitating. That's what's causing the growling issue. The lift seems to work good, tilt, all that jazz, and like I said, the hydraulic or the hydrostatic, it works. I was able to back it up onto the trailer, but before I backed it on the trailer, I lost all hydraulic pressure. So it's something is overloading or unloading. A spool valve sticking. A spool might be sticking. Something is sticking in there, or we got a plug screen, or a tube that's a draw tube that might be collapsing, or overload, not overload, a relief valve that's opening that shouldn't be opening. Anyways, there's something in the hydraulic system, but overall, I got it for $5,500. A comparable skid steer in good condition, we're running about $10,000 to $12,000 for a comparable. Well, that'd be a little bit newer, but a comparable size skid steer. So this machine, in good running order, probably about $9,000. So it gives me a couple thousand to play with as far as doing repairs and fixing. Now, like I said, it was able to back onto the trailer without any issues, so I don't think that it's an actual hydrostatic motor. And I also don't think that it's I know it's not a lift hydraulic issue, so I'm thinking it's something with a valve. And the fact that it comes and goes tells me that it's not even a faulty valve, it's a sticky valve or a sticky relief or something. So, guy was a decent guy. He bought it a year ago, didn't know it had all these problems. The other guy kind of screwed him over. He just wanted it gone, didn't want to look at it. He could use the money on something else, he said, so $5,500 I got it for. So we're heading home here, and we are going to unload it. I'm gonna play with it a little bit and kind of get a feel for its quirks as far as when it works and when it doesn't work and what causes this and that and everything else. And then we're going to park it in the shop and pull the cab and really dive into the hydraulics and see what we can or can't figure out. Who knows? Maybe I made a good decision. Maybe I made a bad decision. We will know in the upcoming videos. Either way, I'm super stoked, pretty excited. If I can get this thing running, it'll be really handy to have on the farm there. Then I don't have to run down to Dad's to get his. So I will talk to you guys when I get home. I got about 25 minutes yet. Thanks. All right, guys, got her home. It was about a week and a half later now. I haven't done anything. I just left it covered up in the yard here. But here she is. Like I said, Bobcat 825. Tires are pretty decent here. Not terrible, not terrible. Pins and bushings, they all look good. None of them are all worn out or anything like that. Everything seems pretty tight on it. Hydraulic fluid does appear to be a little overfull, so that makes me wonder if the issue that we're having is something with the charge pump or a draw line, that someone filled it with more fluid and that took care of it. I don't know. Other than that, everything seems to go good. Like I said, the lift hydraulics are great. It is hard starting, but I read online that these little old Perkins diesels are always kind of cold-blooded. As you can see, we got the ether can there. I don't think that actually works. I can hear the solenoid click, but I can't smell any ether in the airbox, so I don't believe that works. There's few bad gaskets. You know, you can see I've got a bad exhaust gasket there. Leaking oil in here in a few spots, nothing terrible. Block heater does not appear to work. Either that or it's just really fucking quiet. I don't know. I was going to plug it in, take an amp draw on it and see. But those aren't hard to, those are cheap on Amazon. I can get a new one ordered in. So, yeah, we're going to get started. We're going to tilt the cab, take a look at the hydraulics, see what happens here. Like I said, they're growling, intermittent functionality. Kind of sound like they're cavitating, so I'm thinking it's something with either the charge pump or the, it's intermittent, so it's got to be, it can't be a bad pump, I don't think. Now, that being said, because it has been cavitating, it makes me wonder if the pumps have, you know, gone bad, if it was ran with that cavitation. But we'll find out here. I think it's something more like the charge pump going to the drives or something. The output of the charge pump is an issue because the lift hydraulics work perfectly fine, and the charge pump also feeds the lift hydraulic pump. So it's unlikely that it's the charge pump itself. It's also unlikely that both drive pumps would go out completely at random and then come back and then go out. So it's got to be a valve or linkage or something in here. So I'm going to tear it open and we're going to see what happens. Okay guys, so I got the cab lifted here, and right off the bat, first thing I wanted to check with these filters here. There's 3 hydraulic filters in this system. There's one internally and then there's these 2. So this one is supposed to be a 25 micron. This one's supposed to be a 10 micron. Now the filters that are actually on here, this Purolator H4 whatever 29 whatever, this one is actually a 10 micron filter, not 25. This Fram is a 20 micron, not 10, which a little bit bigger, that's not going to cause our issues. But this one being our suction filter, being a 10 micron instead of a 25, could very well be causing part of our issues. And if it's intermittent, meaning that sometimes we're bypassing and sometimes it's actually trying to pump through the filter. So that could be part of our issues, that this filter is too constricted. Now there's another one in here. I'll be curious. I'm going to pull this cover. I'll be curious to see what that one looks like as well. But I'm doing a quick run through. O'Reilly's here is open until, I think they're open until about 6 o'clock today. So trying to get a good list here so I can go up there and get what I need and then work on it tonight yet. So just an update. That's where I'm at. Those 2 filters, definitely wrong. Definitely going to replace those. Also, the fact that they haven't been replaced in 11 years, slightly concerning. Okay, guys, I got her opened up here. I'm currently standing on what would be the left side if you're sitting in the machine. I don't know if this is our... I'm going to assume this is a pressure switch, but it could also be a temp. Nah, I don't think it's temp. It's probably a pressure switch, is my guess. Doesn't look like an RTD. So whatever this pressure switch goes to connects to this hose here, which someone replaced at some point in time. And it goes down there, and there's a big hole in it because it got into this reduction gear right there. So it got caught up in there. So there's a big hole in that. So I don't know what that hose goes to, but we're going to figure that one out and keep on getting at her. The oil itself doesn't look milky per se. It's hard to see in the camera. It just, I almost wonder if it's just really dirty. 'Cause down there, it doesn't look very milky. It just looks dirty. So, I don't know. We'll see what oil costs here in town. I probably won't change it all today, but, you know, maybe I'll do filters and then I'll start cycling some fresh shit in here later, but... So that's the other thing. I'm not really sure what's supposed to be on these 2. That guy and then that one. But both those have nothing threaded onto them, and they're obviously a fitting, which doesn't make sense because a manufacturer wouldn't just leave them open like that. So we're going to look into that too. Alright guys, so I had to pull the foot pedal assembly, battery, move parking brake, undo all the linkage for the foot pedal. Anyways, so I got the other sump opened up. This is definitely way over full on oil, so I'm going to have to drain some of that out. This is where our other filter is going to be. It's another 10 micron, I believe, so I'm going to change him, drain some out. Now looking at it, I'm Yeah, I think there is some water in it, definitely. But we're going to drain it out. It's been sitting for like 2 weeks now, so hopefully all the water is going to be on the bottom. And then ideally I'd like to run it for a bit, and then I'll change all the fluids and all the filters. But before I go and buy $400 worth of oil, I'd like to make sure that I fix it the right way, or that it's fixed. Anyways, so that line went from this sensor down to here, and then this out feeds our charge pump, which is this guy, I believe. So what was going on there is this is supposed to be about 4 psi return, and I'd be willing to bet, because that hose was broken, it was just blowing a bunch out, so we were sucking air into our charge pump, and that's what was causing such bad cavitation. Was we were running air and everything, and that's why it was intermittent and whatnot. Because I think that this hose in here was probably occasionally going underneath the fluid, and then occasionally coming up above and sucking air, and that's why it was intermittent. That's probably why it's so full of oil too. Someone probably filled it full of oil thinking that would fix it, and it kind of did, so then they thought they had her figured out. But anyways, I'm gonna run uptown, try and get one of these hoses made, and then, like I said, I'm gonna drain a bunch of oil out, change that filter and those 2 filters over there, and we're gonna see what we can get done. Still haven't figured out what that fitting and where is it? That fitting do. So we're gonna have to figure that one out. But anyways, we'll keep you posted. Just to make sure you guys understand, that was this hose right here, this blue line that goes this way, and coming off this filter on the outlet goes up and over to our inlet pressure switch, and that also feeds our charge pump. So if we're just pissing all the oil out here, like I said, it's only like 4 psi, but this pump is then trying to lift oil rather than getting positive feed. So that's what we're going to start with, is this guy. And then, like I said, these filters were the wrong ones. But all right, guys, they didn't have the fittings to make the hose up at our local parts store, so I couldn't make the hose. So what I ended up doing, I just bought a plug, an NPT plug. I threw it in there. All it did was ran to a pressure sensor, so I should still be able to test and see if this thing runs without it, if that was our issue. Got new filters. That was like $120. Started to drain oil out of here to change the filters, and once I drained it out and got into a decent light, it was very milky. Just before, with the way the light looked, it looked like it was more so dirty than milky, but after I drained some out and got into a good light, it was definitely has moisture in it. So I chose not to change the filters. I'm going to go ahead and buy fresh oil, and I'll put fresh oil in it and change filters then, just because it's $130 in filters, so I don't want to put those in only to change them again in a week when I get all new oil. So I'm just going to fire it up. I got everything kind of halfway thrown back on. I'm going to fire it up, see if that fixed the noise, if it still seems to be growling and cavitating and everything else. Like I said, I don't have it fully put back together just because I don't want to have to tear everything back apart if that doesn't fix the issue. So I got the cab. It is chained up here. It's chained to the bucket, so it's not going to come crashing down on me. And we'll see what happens. Alright guys, almost dropped that. Quite a few things yet I got to work on, but I think that fixed the drive issue. Definitely stuck my thumb into the fan there. I don't know if that was on video or not, but I definitely got my thumb with the fan. Temp sensor, all that stuff, that's all seems to be a little wonky in there. Temp sensor, amp, or volt gauge, fuel gauge, all those seem to be a little bit off. So there's definitely some electrical issues. I found a few grounds that were not connected. A lot of problems there. I'll dive into that in another video. I'll deal with that later. But right now it's running. That's the biggest thing. Like I said, I got to get all new oil for it, and then filters, and then I will go ahead and change all that stuff, and possibly thermostat. I'm not sure yet. Let's see, possibly a thermostat, changing filters, changing oil, electrical, gonna go through all that. Oh, block heater, I'm gonna look at that, and if not, I'm gonna order a new one, see if this, I'll just take an amp draw on it, see if it's drawing current. If they ain't junking it, throw a new one in. They're cheap, they're on Amazon, they're not expensive. And then I want to look at the auxiliary linkage, because that seems to be a little off. But other than that, guys, I think this will be a good running unit for less than $6,000. And pretty excited. Oh, I want to change oil, fuel filter, all that jazz. But I think I fixed the drive issue.